Welcome everyone, we are Suffering Smallville. I am Peter, and joining me is Connor, and this is going to be Season 2, Episode 12. It is called Insurgence, which sounds like a subtitle to a Star Trek movie. There was never one called Insurgence, but there was Insurrection.
It slots in with that and Nemesis, like in the same vein.
Yes. So, I mean, what to say about this episode? Clark.
No, hang on.
Yeah.
Just as how do you screw up a Die Hard imitation?
Like this.
Yeah.
You give it to the Smallville writers and they screw up a Die Hard plot. Yeah. Honestly, the big thing for me is just frequently in this episode, and it was really only twice, but like the second time it felt really bad because they'd already done it the first time, which is that Clark just does something that can't be explained without superpowers, and people just ignore it and don't question it.
People who should be questioning it.
Yeah.
It's people who are already suspicious.
It's yeah, so the plot of this episode is that Jonathan's upset because it's their anniversary, but Martha's going to work with Lionel on a Sunday anyway. But it just so happens that because Lex found some bugs in his office and he thinks Lionel's behind it, he doesn't know that for sure. It's a fair assumption, I suppose. But he hires a group of people to plant bugs in Lionel's office at the Luther Cart building. But he doesn't know there's going to be people there, namely Lionel and Martha. And then it turns out that the guy running this little team is betrayed by his second in command, who takes over because he wants to just rob the vault. Because, hey, we broke into Luther Corp, let's rob the vault. And it turns into a bit of a hostage situation with Martha and Lionel. So, obviously, everyone else tries to get involved after the fact. So, yeah, it's honestly, this sounds like a fun plot, to be honest, on paper, but the first half of it is so much just like Jonathan and Martha fighting because Jonathan's upset that she's working on their anniversary and he gets really pissy about it.
We've got dull Clark thinking he can fix their marriage. You've got dull Lana giving a shit about her family.
I did get a chuckle though when it cuts to, after they've had a fight near the start of the episode, it cuts to Clark in the barn reading a book about keeping families happy or something like that. It was family relationships and how to maintain them. And I'm like, did you just go and get this book, or have they been, because they've been fighting a bit recently? You've had this sort of.
I assume he went to the library.
He can get there quite fast, admittedly.
He can, yeah.
Which is an important detail for this episode, because later on in this episode, right, when Jonathan gets pissy at Lex because Lex helps Clark try and set up a date in Metropolis that night for their anniversary, and has a whole big thing about, you know what, Lex, I've had enough of you. And then Lex says, you know what, Mr. Kent, I've had enough of you treating me like shit. I keep trying to be nice. But then Jonathan has to...
They did a whole thing where they got a helicopter to take him there, but saved on the budget because we could just hear the helicopter outside in the field. You didn't see it this time.
We've seen a helicopter in the show before, though, so I believe it exists. It's just...
No, that's what I mean. I think they've obviously had access to helicopters when they've absolutely needed them in the past. But this time they just decided to save on the budget and not hire it for the day. Well,
they had to go and shoot more in different locations this episode because they were doing scenes in Metropolis, so I guess the money went there instead.
Yeah.
So, but Jonathan has to go crawling back to Lex because once this hostage situation's on the news and Clark and Jonathan get worried, Jonathan's like, okay, I'm not going to try and stop you, Clark, but I'll drive to Metropolis. And Clark says, no, you can get there quicker. And I was thinking, yeah, just let Clark carry you. But he actually sends Jonathan to Lex, and Jonathan asks Lex for a helicopter ride, right? To which Lex says yes, and it feels like maybe they've mended their relationship a bit.
Well, Jonathan doesn't actually get to asking because he's too awkward to actually ask.
Yeah, but Lex jumps in and says, sure, yes, you can have a right to right.
Because at this point in the show, Lex is a semi-reasonable human.
So we watched this together, and as we were watching, I said, why doesn't Clark just carry him, just piggyback, right? That's the quickest way to go there.
And I pointed out, because there's they already know there's news cameras there. If anyone sees them there, it'll be really suspicious as to how they got there so fast.
To which I then pointed out, but Clark's going to be there anyway, surely that's still suspicious.
Yeah, it was, but I didn't know Clark was going to be there when I said that. He just showed up a scene later, already there.
But that's not even the real kisser, though. Here's the real thing that really just brought all this to its knees as far as logic goes, is that when Jonathan and Lex arrive at the crime scene, they're outside the building and they're intermingling with the police and stuff. Jonathan just says, "Hey, Clark," and they go up and like say hello to Clark, and I'm like, why isn't Lex asking how Clark got here before they did?
Yeah.
He never even like gives a face like he's like, okay, that's something to think about later, but we're busy right now. It never comes up.
Like, for all the faults this show has, and there are many, Lex does normally at least pull a suspicious face or a second glance, right, when Clark does something.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose you could try and write it off as he's feeling guilty because he hired these people, so it's kind of his fault they're in danger.
Yeah, but I feel like that if that was the case, I could allow it, but there should have been something at the end after they were safe.
Yes. So that just like set me off, and I like, wait, why is no one questioning this? And then on top of that, as it goes forward, Clark tries to like break into a vent, and a policewoman stops him. And he's like, "Who are you?" And he's like, "Clark, my mother's up there." And she's like, "Oh, you thought you'd play hero, right?" Later on, when he's jumped from the Daily Planet building, which, by the way, I think is the first time I've ever seen that in Smallville. I don't remember it popping up before.
Obviously, it's been talked about, but I don't remember seeing it before this.
Maybe there was like a skyline shot or something, but this feels like this is like the first time. I mean, I guess he was technically inside it on the way up, but this is the first time he's interacted with it in any capacity. So he jumps across from the other thing, right, and he gets in, blah, blah, it all plays out. And when the cops eventually come in, and this woman who, like, stopped him from coming in earlier looks at him with this, like, huh? I was like, are you not actually going to ask him how he got in? Because I feel like you would want to know that.
They know that someone entered on the 30th floor. They know that's what set the alarms off.
Mm-hmm.
And they presumably think that it's a false alarm, right? They're not thinking someone's got in on the 30th floor. But then this kid's in there. Do they not go, this is weird?
Just very conveniently, no one's asking questions. But what's really bizarre, actually, is when they get outside at the end, and someone, I think it's Lex, who actually does ask the question, not about how he got here, that's never brought up, but he does say, "Oh, Clark, how did you manage to go in and help them?" And Lionel, bizarrely, actually sort of like jumps on the grenade. Is like, "Oh, he's a hero, son. What does it matter? Who cares how he got in and saved us? He did save us. That's the point." And it was almost like, are you trying to like win some favor with Martha here by sticking up for Clark?
Absolutely, because he knows what Martha's just seen.
Yeah, he's also maybe also has the same suspicions about Clark, so he'd rather be in good terms with them for his own benefit, and push Lex away is the other. Because this is the thing, is that Lex is using a phone voice changer thing, and he's calling himself Mr. Green when he's talking to there you go, with the bad guys, and like we kind of got a sneaky suspicion that Lionel very quickly probably knew who Mr. Green was, because he's like, "Yes, tell that Mr. Green, whoever that coward is," and I started cracking jokes about, I wonder if he keeps going more specific, like, "Tell that bald Mr. Green how much of a little shithead he is."
He asks knockoff Heatwave who Mr. Green is, as if he doesn't already know.
Yeah, I think he just wants confirmation, like he's just prodding at it. But yeah, so while they're in this office though, and Lionel says relatively early, "There's nothing in that vault that's of value to you," implying that there's no money or anything like obviously valuable. It's not anything you could easily just go and exchange. To which we immediately went, "He's got kryptonite in there, doesn't he?"
He does. Bars of it.
He has basically like this, it looks like gold bars, but it's kryptonite. He's just got this big trolley of bars of kryptonite. And of course, when they open the vault and the green glow comes out, and then Martha looks in, and then she turns and looks at Lionel with this just face of like, because Lionel's like trying to...
What the hell are you playing at here?
Yeah, Lionel's trying to steal Martha away. He tries to give her a watch. He tries to give her a promotion so she moves to Metropolis.
His dearest affections.
Yes. He's engraved the watch and everything. Like, he is swooping in. He's got a thing for Ginger Kent right here. And the way she turns her head, and it's like, "If there was any chance that you were going to steal me from Jonathan, you're forever on the couch now, Lionel." Mm-hmm. Forever. Not that I think there was a chance, but I'm just,
No, there wasn't, but he thought he had a chance.
Yeah, but the look on her face, it was because the first half of the episode is honestly quite dull, but then once it gets to about here, and you start getting the reactions, especially since Lionel who seems to still be blind, is like making all these little smirky faces when he's like, "Oh, Martha's seen some of this."
Every time there's something like about Clark or suspicious, he just like it's as if he's not blind. He's just looking away, like, "Oh, what's that up there? Oh, that's interesting." just pretending nothing's happening.
And then the bad guys like toss over a big pile of files, and then Martha looks down, and one of them just says Clark Kent on it. And then gives Lionel another evil look, and it's like, okay. And then
it's not until that they tell Martha to pick them up, like pick up those files, that Lionel's like, oh shit, there's files. Never mind.
Well, we were questioning if he's still blind because we know he's going to turn out to be lying at some point, but Clark does come in and do something with a superpower, which means he's still blind at this point. Because as much as he suspects things, I don't think he does actually witness Clark use a superpower.
I don't think so, no. Martha doesn't help though by immediately yelling. Like, I know it ultimately didn't matter because the police came in anyway, but she didn't know that was about to happen.
This was so stupid. So Clark, after he's made his big jump, right, and he's got vertigo, he's scared of the heights, and
he misjudged and went on the wrong floor.
Yeah, he goes through a window rather than actually landing on the balcony that he was supposed to. But when he comes in, right, after, by the way, grabbing like one of the guys who's left to check why the alarm went off.
The dude who keeps losing all his clothes.
Yes. Well, even the main guy who's in charge here, the bad guys, they all start in overalls because they're pretending to be, maintenance people or something.
Yeah.
And then he's in a Canadian tuxedo for most of the episode. Even he loses the jacket at one point, so they all kind of just gradually lose some clothes.
The woman doesn't. She loses the overalls, but that's it.
Yes.
Which I get, because the cover's blown, right? So she might as well. The other guy, though, he loses the overalls, then loses the jacket, so he's in just his shirt. And then the shirt's unbuttoned when Clark grabs him. And it's like, where's my mother?
I thought he was going to yell at Martha.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't
feel like it.
Even that was a stupid moment to me, because I'm like, why are you like announcing who you are and that you like that one of the hostages means something to you? It would strategically, it makes way more sense to just sort of ask where the hostages are. But he's now let the bad guys know that's his mother, so then they've got that.
I can at least let this one pass a little bit in that he's an emotional teenager. This guy's on his own and separate, so he's not reporting back. So there's no real damage done. Martha, on the other hand, yelling out Clark's name after he's just knocked out two of them by throwing one into the other.
Yeah, he just swoops in, he uses his powers, and of course we're going, oh well, Lionel's still blind then because he can't see this. And then Martha just goes, Clark! And I'm like, Martha, will you shut up?
Yeah, code names in the field, Martha.
Because obviously Clark buckles to the floor because all this kryptonite starts to affect him. So Martha goes to push the kryptonite in. We should also mention that the octagonal disc was in the vault, and the bad guy's got it in his pocket. After he goes down, though, Martha swipes it and puts it in her pocket. So she's got that the key disc back.
No one notices it, so only Martha knows about it.
Well, that's the thing. She hides it at the end. She doesn't tell Clark and Jonathan. She puts it in the cocaine stash.
Yeah, and this is clearly going to be a sore point when Clark finds out that Martha's had it and been keeping it from him.
I mean, we don't typically come to these Smallville episodes with the intention of analyzing decisions, because typically it's just about making fun of it, but they're giving us something here to actually think about, is why she's making this choice. I guess you could read it as she thinks it's dangerous, or that maybe on some level she doesn't want Clark getting closer to his his birth parents and going down that rabbit hole.
If I'm going to give the writers of this show any credit, it'll be like twice a season at most. I think this is one of them.
Okay.
As much as I despise the shitty Lana plot in this episode, I think it ties in really neatly with this moment.
Well, we'll get to that in a second, but
yeah.
Okay.
I think her, wanting to find her biological family, and then the stepmom being like, "Hey, he's kind of shitty. You should kind of keep your distance." I think this is Martha doing the equivalent of protecting Clark from a absent biological figure.
Okay, I can see it. It's kind of what I was thinking, and and it's something that definitely comes up. I won't get too spoiler here, but when there is like recordings of Jor-El and things like that in the future, it's not like Jonathan loves who like what he hears about him. Like they're very kind of. In fact, Jor-El kind of seems kind of villainous for a lot of this show, from what I remember. At least to begin with, he feels like he's a bit.
I think he's just a bit blunt. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. So like,
I think he's actually very Jonathan Kent, which is why they wouldn't get along. Right.
It's funny. I never thought of comparing the two plot lines, but I did think to myself at one point. I almost made the joke that Lana was going off to meet her Jor-El, because that's effectively what the birth father is to hit her. So
I think that plot line in this episode is boring as anything, and it's so just numb and dull. But I think it's only there to pay off this moment, in theory.
It's very tedious. It also kind of ends a bit early. Like, normally you kind of space these things out, but because they had so much to do with the hostage situation, the final scene of this plotline actually happens just over maybe halfway in. So
yeah, because after that we go to Metropolis, and we just stay in Metropolis for the rest of the episode.
Absolutely. So yeah, the only thing of note here really that kind of gave me a chuckle was at the end of the Clark and Lana scene when she's like, "Hey, I'm going off to meet my my birth dad's mum."
I said stepmom just for simplicity.
Yeah.
But
yeah, she's gonna have to have like a coffee with her, with the dad as well. He's going to be there, but and Clark's like, yeah, well, the Kent family's having some troubles, and she's like, do you want me to talk about it? And he's like, nah, you've got places to be, so go off and do that. And as she's leaving, the conversation just builds up to this line where she turns and says, Clark, some people are just meant to be together. And she looks at him all longingly, and he looks like, does she mean us? And then
he's got a chance.
And my question is I don't know if the writers intended that to be something where Lana was intentionally saying that to be an innuendo for them. She's intentionally kind of provoking that reaction out of him, or if she's just saying that completely innocently, and Clark's just reacting as he would.
I think that one. I think the writers intended Lana to mean it innocently.
Okay.
But also for Clark to be like, oh, so you're saying I've got a chance. I think they're intending him to misread it. That was the correct direction.
Okay. Well, just because she didn't mean it that way doesn't necessarily mean it's also like he doesn't have a chance. They still have an equal chance going forward.
But the writers are also in the back of their head going, yeah, but there's Lois, right?
Eventually there's going to be Lois.
They didn't mean that for the audience, so this was foreshadowing, I don't think.
Yes. It's it's mostly a dull plot line, but like you say, it has thematic relevance to maybe the decision that Martha makes at the end of the episode. The rest of the stuff is, it's bickering. It's Jonathan being angry. He gets progressively angrier. There is a moment where Jonathan actually overhears Lex on his phone talking to the bad guys and is like, wait, who are you talking to, Lex? Because I think that the last thing Lex says is something to the effect of,
don't hurt them.
Yeah, they better not get hurt. And that's, it's kind of telling what he's talking about. So Jonathan's like, who are you talking to, Lex? And he makes it very clear, if I find out that you have anything to do with them being in danger, you'll never step foot in Smallville again. Which
is weird, because it felt very clear he was talking to them, and Jonathan seemed to know that throughout that whole conversation. And Lex never denied it. He just said, I'm doing what's best for them.
Yeah, I think maybe you could read it as more Jonathan was saying, if there's ever proof that you're behind this,
maybe,
kind of thing. I think he probably thinks he is behind it, which probably means that he should never want to entertain the idea of being friendly to Lex ever again. But I'm sure, much like Clark on Red Kryptonite abandoning Lana in a bar in Metropolis, this will be something that's just kind of conveniently forgotten for the most part. Not completely, but in the sense that
probably not as much, because Jonathan's always baseline annoyed.
He is, but I guarantee you there's going to be episodes where they're on slightly better terms again, and it's in the back of your head you're going to be like, but you think he put your wife in a hostage situation? Yeah. So
this is like how for like 4 seasons in Arrow we were like, yeah, but Felicity nuked a city.
Yes.
Well, a town, but still. She nuked somewhere. Doesn't matter where it's a town or a city. Point stands. And we always just, in the back of your head, it's like, you nuked somewhere.
So you know what? I love that we reviewed so much of that show, and the only episode of that show that I have not seen is the very last episode.
Me too.
It's just like that's how little like we enjoyed making fun of it, but we didn't care enough just to finish off and do it. Because the last episode, because we decided to end all that stuff with Crisis because we couldn't do 5 shows a week anymore, right? If there were one at a time, right? See if there were all like 12 episode shows and they all rotated throughout the year, we probably would have never stopped. We'd have probably been happy to shit on it. The same way we're doing with Smallville now. 1 a week's perfectly palpable, right? But it was like 5 a week. We kind of liked one of them, but the other 4 or whatever were at a point where they were all bad. And we even though there was only 1 episode left, I just never cared enough to actually watch the last, because I wasn't attached to it. You know, I didn't care about the characters.
I don't know if I'll ever watch it. Maybe one day, I'll put it on out of boredom. Just like you're just morbid curious. How did that end?
I don't know. It sounds like a Patreon goal for us to review just that last episode of Arrow someday. If we hit a certain amount, we'll do it. We'll watch that one episode.
I can commit to that.
Anywho, anything else? Lex wrecking his room looking for bugs, and Clark trying to.
I said the theory of a dead man. Yeah, for some reason.
But Clark's trying to suggest where the last bug is because he's used his X-ray vision.
I appreciate that they didn't feel the need to show the X-ray effect every time. They just Tom Welling does that weird squint and be like, oh yeah, he's X-ray.
Yeah. Also, question. After everything goes down, Martha tells Clark to burn the files with his heat vision because there's a file on him, and I can't help but feel like taking it instead so they could read it and see what Lionel knows would be more useful.
I agree. I guess they were arguing, her thought was that might be more difficult to get away with. This is just safer.
Because like, just use your super speed, hide it up your shirt, and then when we get home, we can go through it and see what he actually knows.
I think they didn't want to risk anything. It's like, just get rid of the evidence.
Yeah. But yes, so at the end of the episode, Martha wants to resign. Obviously, she hates Lionel now because he has got kryptonite, he's got files, he's got artifacts that are related to all the stuff going on with Clark. Clearly, she even suspects that he only wanted to hire her to get close to Clark and keep an eye on him. So she's like, I'm resigning. And Jonathan at this point is like, well, actually, is that the best idea? Can't we keep an eye on him if you're still there to sort of witness things? And we wouldn't even know he had any of this if you weren't working for him. So why don't we pull a bit of a Luther move and you can spy on Lionel? And that's where we leave that off at the end of the episode.
It seems like partially a convenient excuse to have us have more scenes in Metropolis in future. Because obviously, long term, the show obviously transitions to that, but it's got to build to that eventually. I think this is them laying that groundwork to just set, every couple of episodes we could have a scene or two in Metropolis kind of easily because we've got an excuse there now. Yeah.
Well, they've got this set for Lionel's office, which I think does stay pretty consistent. So presumably they're just going to keep that around for scenes.
Yeah. And Lionel is moving out of the mansion, so.
Oh yes, he suspects that his son almost got him killed. Which actually, at one point, Lex tries to buy everything because once they mention the disc,
I'll pay you whatever you want. Yeah. Just get out of there.
Just don't hurt the hostages, and I'll buy everything that was in that vault from you. And the guy's like, yeah, all right. And then Lionel's like, I'll pay double whatever he's offering. And and Martha should probably mention this. I mean, okay, Martha doesn't know it was Lex, I suppose, but the idea that there was this bidding war for all of these Clark-related things is kind of worrying. It should be worrying to her.
I think in her defense, like I say, she doesn't know it was Lex. She doesn't know the person on the other end knows what's in the vault. It's just stuff that he, the guy says, oh, it's green bars, and then all these files. Knowing in context that they were hired for corporate espionage, the guy might be like, oh, yes. Oh, corporate files, give me them, right?
Yeah, I would like to put forth, though, that because and this will probably never come up, but given that Jonathan thinks Lex was the one talking to the bad guys at one point, and she's on the other side hearing these conversations, there's no guarantee it was the same person both times, but there is a reasonable, chance that it was the same person. So there's actually a reason to suspect after the fact that it was Lex who was bidding for these things.
Eventually, when they talk to each other and be like, hey, this happened. And she's like, yeah, hey, that happened as well. Yeah.
Yeah. They've got the information to at least theorize that Lex was the one on that phone call bargaining for these items. But I don't think that the writers are ever going to have them figure that out.
No. No, that takes common sense.
Yes, but the pieces are there. In a well-written show, that this would actually lead to them figuring out that Lex is obsessed with Clark in some way, and they need to deal with this. So we'll see how that goes, if they ever do bring that up. But hey, I don't know.
Yeah, they will.
Oh well. I guess that's kind of it, because it was kind of focused on the hostage plot. There wasn't as much side stuff to talk about.
The back half, there was nothing else except that.
There was no Chloe, there was no Pete, there was no, a lot of characters just weren't here this episode.
The only side plot, I would say, is the Lana thing.
And it's like only half the episode. It gets cut off.
It only has it probably has to have 2 scenes.
Yeah, just 2. It's the one with Clark,
and then she's Clark, and then the scene where she's at the meal, the coffee with them.
Yeah, that's it. That's everything it gets. Which, I mean, credit, I suppose, for not wasting our time with just frivolous other things, but it's usually...
They spend like 20 minutes setting up this shitty Die Hard, and they still manage to fumble it.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. So much of it's the setup, which is not that good. For it to actually be a good Die Hard style episode, we would need more of Clark sneaking about the building doing things, and we don't, because he...
Like it plays like it's going to be that. It wants it to be that, and then they just kind of forget to actually do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really not that good.
All right.
Even by this show standards.
Well, next episode is called Suspect, and Lionel's going to get shot by an unknown assailant. And when Jonathan Kent is found drunk with a pistol...
Right, what I'm picturing is, who shot Mr. Burns?
Yes! So someone shot Lionel and is setting up Jonathan to take the fall for it. And given how much he hates Martha working for him, like, I can see why he would be a suspect.
Yeah.
Yes.
If this isn't Who Shot Mr. Burns in Smallville, then I don't care. I don't care anyway, let's be honest, but... Yeah, I have like a 5% level of caring if it is that.
Oh dear. So we'll see how that pans out next time. But this has been episode 12 of Smallville season 2. Let us know what you think of this episode in the comments. All the usual stuff. Like, subscribe, helps us out a lot if you do, but of course you can support all the content with some money over at patreon.com/MailFuzzTV, and it does help keep everything coming, so please consider
and maybe one day that'll make us watch that last episode of Arrow.
Yes, maybe one day. But yes, so thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching TV, and won't somebody save me?